I can't make this freaking video. I've tried so many times. Okay. Hi, Vlogalogue. When I was little, I had to memorize my times tables. What's 6 times 7? 12 through 12. And I remember at one point I discovered that my siblings were learning multiplication. I'm like, oh, how are the times tables going? They're like, oh, we get a note sheet with the just a table, and they can just look it up on their tests. And I was so angry. Not in the sense that I felt like, oh, you poor people, you're missing out, but in the sense of, how dare you? I had to go through this misery, and it was rough, and this is not fair. This is in no way fair. I feel every time I've tried now, this is like the 7th time I'm recording this, every time I try and talk about basic income, I end up expressing that attitude. So I want to try and somehow to bring you along into that. Just to try and see if there's any way that you can sort of understand that perspective. I want you to think about a YouTuber who you think is really, really stupid. Hopefully you have someone in mind. Maybe you worship everybody who does any videos at all. But maybe you think there are definitely some people that look at someone like PewDiePie and they're like, you just play video games all day and you make way too much money for doing that. And there are folks that look at pretty boy vloggers and they go, so you sit around and do nothing all week. You spend 10 minutes making something once a week and you get to live off of that. Or, substitute anything else if you have an example. There's a feeling there, and it's not a happy feeling. It's a feeling of jealousy and resentment. And there's maybe this is a US-centric type of thing, but we have this sort of perspective in our country that your value is somewhat based on whether you get out there and make yourself somewhat miserable. You're supposed to work 40 hours, or 50, or 60. You're supposed to sometimes have to come in on weekends. You're supposed to have to really struggle to earn your keep. Because to not do that is the equivalent of getting your little times tables cheat sheet. The rest of us had to do it. What makes you such a special snowflake that you should be able to live in your parents' basement and work a part-time barista gig so that you have money to go out drinking with your friends because you're such a special snowflake? I have a great American novel that I would like to write too, but I don't. I go and I work because you're supposed to work. I want to establish that. And I really do think that it's an incorrect feeling. But I think that we all, to some extent or another, have this sort of feeling that we get very resentful when we feel like other people are getting away with stuff. And I think that's one of the things that really scares me with basic income. Basic income is basically the premise that you get a check just for existing. You can get that check whether you have a job or not. You can get it whether you're sick or not. You can get it whether you're retired or not. It's not contingent upon any particular qualifiers. And I think one of the reasons that this is really hard, at least for me to wrap my head around, is because of that particular gut feeling of, I can just imagine so many people getting their checks and just not having to work, and so they won't work. And that's not fair because I had to work. And if I didn't, if I knew that I had minimum wage, if I knew that I had my living costs just kind of covered for free, I probably wouldn't be doing what I'm doing. I like my job relatively, but I don't think I'd be working 50, 60-hour weeks doing software stuff. I'd probably be trying to be an actor or a musician, or I'd try and be a writer, or I might be doing YouTube full time. I don't know. I'd be doing whatever happens to strike my fancy. But there's this idea that we can't set up a system that allows people to do that. That's not fair, because that's not what any of the rest of us did. We went out, and some of us, there are certainly people who graduated with their poli-sci degree and then realized there aren't poli-sci jobs, and then took a job doing something that makes them absolutely miserable. And I think the problem is that when we look at trying to set up an economy where there aren't enough jobs for the number of people, that whole perspective on the you have to be doing something productive to be a valuable person is not something that's tenable. It's going to become an outmoded way of looking at people. Imagine if you were set up on a blind date, and for some reason you didn't back out of it, and you said, what do you do? Well, I don't really feel like getting a job, so I kind of, I play video games. Sometimes I go for walks. Right now, in this current society, is that something you're going to be happy with? I think a lot of us, that's going to set off some warning bells. And I think it's going to be very hard for us to get to the point where we both have people that are accustomed with I'm going to go out and I'm going to work, because we still need people to cover the 70% of jobs that remain, but also still provide a social environment where the idea of not doing that is equally acceptable. That's the thing that I think most scares me about basic income and the loss of human hireability, is I don't know how we get there. And this is, I think I finally got a take I can use.